When the engineering team started digging the tunnel, at one point the water hidden in the mountain began to fill the tunnel at the speed of jet pressure, and a catastrophic situation arose. The Gotthard Base Tunnel, located in Switzerland, is also known as Mount Everest in the world of engineering. With a length of 57 kilometers, it is not only the longest tunnel in the world, but it is also the deepest tunnel in the world at a depth of 2.5 kilometers. Why did this tunnel become a need of the whole of Europe? What solution did the engineering team find for the falling stones, the fast-flowing water, and the wind that breaks the glass of the train passing through it? Welcome again to the videos of Money Basics. If you look closely at the map of Europe, there is a wall of mountains in the middle of it, which has been an obstacle for trade and travel for years. This wall of mountains is called the Alps. People have been traveling on these long zigzag roads for centuries, while sometimes snow and sometimes avalanches did not delay in closing the road. Bridges were built on the mountains here. Railway tracks were also extended, but it was also very difficult and time-taking. After this, another big problem arose with time. To increase Europe's economy and to send more goods from one country to another, the matter had now increased a lot from these zigzag roads. North Europe's factories and South Europe's seaports both depended on each other. Engineers had only two ways to solve this problem. Either more difficult and wide roads should be built on the mountains, or something that was considered impossible for centuries. They decided that they would not build a tunnel from the top of the mountain, but a tunnel right in the middle of it, which would be the longest and deepest tunnel in the world. But the easier this mission seems to be heard, the more terrifying it is in reality. Just below the ground, where the weight of the mountain could tear any steel wall like paper, engineers knew that their confrontation would not only be with soil and stones, but with the powers of nature that no one had ever challenged before. The construction of the Gotthard Base Tunnel was not an ordinary construction, but its biggest enemy was extremely high pressure, because the excavation of this tunnel was to be done below a mountain of 2,500 meters, which means that millions of tons of weight of the mountain. To experience this pressure, the engineers first tried to dig a small tunnel, but the pressure of the mountain began to try to close the tunnel again. But this was just the beginning. The second big challenge was extremely hot. Whether it is land or mountains, the temperature of both reaches up to 50 degrees Celsius easily. In this heat, a person cannot work more than 15 to 20 minutes. And if the cooling system fails, this tunnel can become a living grave for the workers. After pressure and heat, the most terrifying enemy for the engineering team was the pressure of water. This was not an ordinary underground water. This was the pressure hidden for centuries, which, if suddenly removed, can tear the concrete wall like a cannonball. These were the reasons why the world's famous rural engineers first clearly stated that this tunnel could not be built. They said that in such a long and hot tunnel, the machines would die. How would it be possible for the workers to survive? In addition to this, the tunnels dug from both sides would be dug from a distance of 57 kilometers. If there is even a millimeter difference in the alignment, both teams will get lost in the darkness of the mountain and millions of dollars will be lost. But for Switzerland, this was not just a project, but a question of survival. Thousands of trucks passed through the Alps every year. Pollution was increasing, and the roads had crossed their limits. If this tunnel had not been built now, the entire European trade system would have collapsed. Switzerland decided that no matter how much it costs, it would be the biggest miracle in the world. Now the question was not whether the tunnel would be built or not. The question was how to face these challenges. On September 27, 1992, this project was officially approved. It was not an ordinary tunnel. Its scale was crossing the limits of human thought. The total length of the Gotthard Base Tunnel was 57 kilometers. That is Delhi to Ghaziabad or Lahore to Kasur.
Such a long distance, even that within 2.5 kilometers of the mountain. But in the world of engineering, length is not just a number, but it shows the severity of the challenge. The rule was that the longer the tunnel, the greater the risk of error. Engineers had to start digging from both sides of the mountain, and both tunnels had to meet exactly at the center of 57 kilometers. If there was even a centimeter difference in the calculation, then both tunnels would never meet each other. To solve this problem, calculations were made using laser navigation and GPS technology to find the exact hole on both sides. To make this impossible possible, the world's largest tunnel boring machines were made. These machines were so big that their cutter head was 2 floors higher than the house. Talking about the total length, this TBM, which was named Sissy, was 450 meters long, about half a kilometer. But despite being such giant machines, they were only cutting mountains a few meters a day. It was not just machines, it was a test of patience for the engineers that would last for the next 17 years.
Along with digging, another war was also being fought, and that was the Battle of the Excavated Stones. During the excavation of the Gotthard Base Tunnel, about 3 crore tons of rubble was removed from the top of the mountain. This was so much rubble that if you collect it at one place, a whole new mountain can be built from it. Hundreds of trucks were busy removing this rubble day and night. Every day, thousands of workers would go deep into the ground, where there was no sign of day or night, no phone signal, and no fresh air. There was only the noise of machines, the soft smell of soil, and an underground world where 2,600 workers lived and worked at one time. But soon the engineers realized that their real enemy was not the length of the tunnel. When the excavation reached the depth of the mountain, the engineers faced such an enemy that was expected but not prepared. 2 kilometers below the ground, the stones of the mountain take out their heat. As the machines advanced, the temperature began to cross the limits, first 30, then 40, and finally 50 degrees Celsius. Now it was no longer a construction site, but an oven. In the early days of the Gotthard Base Tunnel, when the workers got down, they would sweat profusely in just a few minutes. The drivers were given only 2 to 3 hour shifts, otherwise the risk of heat stroke increased. To solve this problem, cooling pipes were laid, in which cold water was run from outside the tunnel. It was the first construction site in the world where an environment was first created for the workers, then construction began. Gradually they realized that the problem of heat was just the beginning. The real terror was the pressure of the mountain that was testing them at every step. Cracks on the stones, without warning, the collapse of the rocks had become a daily routine. To solve this problem, workers would immediately spray a mixture of concrete on that part. Precast concrete slabs were installed in some places, and steel rings were used to make artificial skeletons. This gave support to the weak stones inside. Now the solution to the fall of the weak stones was found, but later the engineers faced a danger that was not solid like stones, but liquid: water. During the boring, a time came when a flood of water came out of the mountains. There is not a single type of stone in the mountains. Some stones are extremely hard and some are very soft. And just as there are reservoirs of water under the ground, water is also stored in the cracks of the mountains. And because this water is stored under the weight of the mountains, its pressure can be up to 2,900 psi. It is just like putting a car's weight on just 1 inch.
There was only one way to solve this problem: that water should be converted into solid form. For this work, small pipes were drilled before boring, in which freezing liquid was used. This process continued for several weeks, and finally, the water of the mountains became solid after freezing. Now, if TBM will bore here, then the collected water will remain solid like a normal stone. After boring on the water portion, the concrete lining was applied and the freezer was closed. But the engineers did one more thing: that they left collection points between the concrete slabs of the tunnel and the mountains for the water to pass through, so that the water does not put pressure on the walls of the tunnel later, but can easily flow out of the tunnel. After this last obstacle, there was only one thing left to wait for:
the moment when the two ends of the tunnel will meet. 15th October 2010, the whole world's eyes were on Switzerland. In the heart of the mountain, the teams coming from both sides, 2,500 meters below the ground, were now only at the distance of a thin wall. Everyone had only one question in mind. Will 17 years of hard work bring color, or will a 57-kilometer-long grave of billions of dollars be made? Suddenly, the giant cutter head of the Sissy machine came out by tearing the last wall. This moment was a historic moment for the whole of Europe. When the calculations were checked, there was only a difference of half an inch between the two tunnels. This accuracy was as if someone had put a thread in a needle 50 kilometers away. Up to this point, you must also have felt that the biggest enemy was the stone and water. But in reality, the biggest enemy here was no one else but the air inside the tunnel. After the construction was completed, when the high-speed train entered the Gotthard Base Tunnel quickly, there would be no way for the air inside to come out. Because of this, a shockwave would be created that would smash the train windows with an explosion.
Fortunately, this problem had already been assumed. Because of this, not one, but two tunnels were built here. After every few meters, a road was also built between the two tunnels, and some ventilation shafts were also built, which could allow the shockwave created by the passing of the train to escape. But think, if this unseen power had not been thought of in advance, then 17 years of hard work and billions of dollars would have been lost. The idea of the Gotthard Base Tunnel was first given in 1940, but due to engineering challenges, it was started in 1993. In its construction, it took 17 years, 2,600 workers' blood, sweat, and tears, and $12.5 billion. The height of the mountain above it is equal to the height of 3 Burj Khalifa. GPS, gyroscopes, and laser navigation were used to align the tunnels coming from both sides in a straight line. The Gotthard Base Tunnel is so long that it was calculated according to the curvature of the Earth. If this tunnel was given a shape, then 5 Great Pyramids could be formed. But Switzerland made small artificial islands in Lake Lucerne from this tunnel. The 450-meter-long Sissy TBM alone used as much electricity as there is in 20,000 houses. At the end of this video, I would like to salute those 9 hero workers who could never get out of the mountain in different accidents. A memorial has also been built at the entrance of the tunnel in their memory, so that the world can remember the real value of this engineering marvel. I hope you will like and share this video of Money Basics. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. See you in the next great video.